Hey there, fellow Reddit enthusiasts. If you love diving into intriguing Reddit stories, you'll want to stick around till the end. We've got a captivating one lined up for you today. For this video, we're delving into the fascinating world of relationships, so buckle up for a deep dive into some compelling stories. Friend, 22M, admitted to cheating on his girlfriend, 22F, to me with one of his best friends, 22F. Derek and I went to go see the FNAF movie on Saturday, and then were later headed to a Halloween party. It was a pretty busy weekend for the both of us, but we ended up going as a group with like 2 other people to see the movie. We finished the movie and head home to change. I'm dropped off second to last because I'm sort of out of the way from Derek's place. I change into my costume and a few hours later am picked up by Derek, Janice, and a third person, who we'll name Riley, not her real name, who is one of Derek's best friends. We head to the party and have a good time. Things are nice, everyone's having fun, all in all good fun, and then we all head home. The next day comes and Derek asks me if I got any play, to which I told him no, I just got out of a relationship and wasn't really looking for anything at the moment. He tells me he did and talks about how good it was, and I kinda just respond with, "Hey man, good for you and your girlfriend," and try and drop the subject cause I don't really want to talk about stuff like that with him. He keeps on going though, and I start to get suspicious. I'm not really sure why I get suspicious, but I do, and I start to ask probing questions, just kind of digging to see what's going on. Well, I got my answer in the form of a picture, thankfully not of him fucking, and some texts of him half naked wearing parts of Riley's costume. I told him that this was a really fucked up situation to be in, and then messaged Riley as well, and she too confirmed that the two had fucked. I asked Derek a few more questions, but I feel like he gets that I'm like pushing him to answer questions he shouldn't, so he leaves me on red. So I start to ask Riley questions. Now Riley was really drunk at the party, so I just assumed that the two of them were inebriated and made a mistake. But no, Riley tells me that the reason she got so drunk was because she and Derek fucked before the party, after the two of them dropped me off from the movie, while the two of them were sober, and she genuinely seems to feel bad about it because she and Janice are close. I've gathered a lot of information about this, and I told both of them straight up that they need to tell Janice what happened before she finds out herself. If they're honest with this, it'll at least make the fallout hopefully not so bad. But they seem hesitant. I plan on telling them that if they don't tell Janice about this, I will, because it's seriously not fair for her to be going through this. I know they're not going to be happy with me, but it's the right thing to do, right? Well, isn't this a delightful mess of deceit and questionable decision-making? Firstly, Derek and Riley, you two clearly took a page out of the How to Ruin Relationships 101 handbook. Bravo on your spectacularly misguided escapade. Who knew that after watching a movie about animatronic horrors, you'd decide to create a real-life horror show of your own? Now, our dear narrator here finds themselves caught in the middle of this emotional carnival. The role of the unwilling confidant, thrust into a pit of secrets and infidelity, is truly a tragic one. You were just trying to enjoy some FNAF scares, not become a character in a twisted relationship drama. But fear not, intrepid storyteller. Your plan to encourage truth-telling is commendable. The tell Janice or I spill the beans ultimatum is a classic move. It's like giving them a chance to come clean before you unleash the chaos. Diplomacy at its finest. In this drama-filled circus, remember that you're not responsible for the choices Derek and Riley made. You're just the unexpected narrator, watching the chaos unfold. While humor might provide some levity, the core issue is the betrayal of trust. So, proceed with the gravity the situation deserves, and let the chips fall where they may. Hold on to your seats. In the upcoming story update, we're weaving in more of your opinions. It's your chance to shape the narrative, so keep those insights flowing. Story update. Friend 22 admitted to cheating on his girlfriend, 22F to me with one of his best friends, 22F. I made the post and received some very positive comments telling me that what I was doing was the right way to go about it. Give these two a chance to come clean, and if they don't, break the news to Janice. I told them the morning after the post. I called both Derek and Riley and told them that if they don't tell Janice about what happened on that weekend, I would, and it's going to be a whole lot uglier if I'm the one to tell her. I gave them a day to tell her, as I felt like any longer would let them try to find excuses. Derek wasn't happy. He said it wasn't any of my business what he got up to, and I had to remind him that he made it my business when he decided to reveal to me that he had cheated on his girlfriend. He implicated me. And now I'm doing what I believed was right. He said that if I told Janice, he wouldn't be my friend anymore, to which I told him that was fine. Obviously, our morals were different, and I didn't really want someone like this in my friend group anymore. Riley, on the other hand, seemed very understanding. She explained the situation to me and how she was going through a tough time, and Derek seemed to just be there and listen, and in recounting her story realized that he was just being very touchy-feely with her. And in her state of loneliness, things just sort of happened and she regrets it. I told her that, while yes, that is unfortunate for her, it didn't excuse her actions, and she agreed and said that she'd go talk to Janice. I felt kind of bad for her, because it just seems like she was in the wrong heatspace, but at the same time, she was sober and conscious of her actions, so it's impossible to see her as innocent in this scenario. So I got half of the implicated people to talk to her, which didn't seem like it was going to work out, well, considering the cheater himself was the main one that wasn't willing to talk, so I did what I said I would. I talked to Janice, I told her everything, I showed her the screenshots I took of Derek and I's texts, and I told her how I gave him a chance to come clean with it himself, and he refused. She said that she wasn't surprised. Derek had apparently been pretty distant with her lately, and she was already planning on breaking it off with him soon if he didn't change, and, well, this gave her the motivation to actually pull the trigger on it. Janice broke up with Derek day of me telling her everything. From what I gathered, she didn't pull any punches with the message, calling him all sorts of names in the process. I figured that would be the end of it, and later that day, I too cut contact with Derek as I knew he'd already be mad with me, and I didn't really want to deal with someone like him anymore. Yesterday, the 3rd, Janice hit me up and said that Riley had come clean with the story as well, and seemed very remorseful. She told me that she wasn't mad at Riley but couldn't fully trust her, but the two are still friends, yet trying their best to mend that trust. I wasn't sure how good of an idea that was, but I told her it was her choice and she could do whatever she wanted. Now this last part I'm not too proud about, but it's an important part of the update because it kind of just details what's going on with Derek now. We talked for a while, not just about the situation, but just stuff going on, how she's feeling, stuff like that. At the end of our call, she asked me to pull up. I didn't really need to ask her what for to get what she was getting at, and so I did. We fucked and she sent a voice message to Derek of us fucking. I agreed to it. It's not my finest moment, but she wanted to be petty and I liked the idea of pissing Derek off a little bit more. I don't really know how he's responded to this as I have him blocked on everything, and Janice hasn't updated me on it yet. I'm staying at Janice's for a few days just in case Derek himself tries to show up. I don't think he will, and I'm hoping he just takes the blow to the chin and moves on with his life as well. But you know, just in case. We still share some of the same friends, so I'm not sure how it'll all play out, but I'm hoping this is the end of the situation. Here's hoping. Derek, oh Derek, playing the victim card after dropping a cheating bomb. Classic move. It's almost as if he expected you to applaud his infidelity. Bravo for standing your ground and showing him the door. Friendship? Adios. Riley, on the other hand, went for the remorseful route. A tale of loneliness, touchy-feely moments, and oops, we ended up cheating. But hey, at least she faced the music and came clean. Points for honesty, even if it was a tad late. And then there's Janice, our unsuspecting heroine. Armed with screenshots and the power to cut ties, she gracefully ended the toxic relationship. A round of applause for her swift actions and calling Derek out on his questionable behavior. Now, the unexpected turn of events, a rendezvous with Janice, a well-placed voice message, and a dash of revenge. While it might not be everyone's cup of tea, you've got to appreciate the creativity. A bit of pettiness to balance the scales, and who knew that a spicy twist could be the final act? In the grand finale, you find yourself in a temporary safe haven, hoping the fallout won't reach you. Life, like this narrative, is a roller coaster, full of ups, downs, and unexpected turns. The shared friends might raise a few eyebrows, but as the curtain falls, remember that you stood on the side of honesty and decency. So here's to closure, newfound freedom, and the hope that the next chapter brings a little less drama and a lot more laughter. Before we unravel the next chapter, let's take a pit stop at the community comments. Your thoughts and reactions are the heartbeat of our discussions. User, am I being obtuse? Yes, you should tell her. You're going to lose friends no matter what you do. Personal, why I'd prefer to remain friends with the innocent victim rather than the cheating assholes. User Throwra Doodlemao OP replies, oh, absolutely. I'm just trying to give the other two a chance to come clean before I do so, but I'm kinda second guessing it and will probably go ahead and tell her anyway. User Repulsive Crew 1812. I plan on telling them that if they don't tell Janice about this, I will, because it's seriously not fair for her to be going through this. I know they're not gonna be happy with me, but it's the right thing to do, right? Yes, it's the right thing to do. You're giving the guilty parties a chance to come clean first. If they don't have the decency to own up to their actions, that's on them. Keeping all of this from Janice Fowl S partial Y on you as a part of the friend group. User Throwra Doodlemao OP replies, thanks for the reassurance. I do plan on telling her even if they do, just as like a confirmation of a confirmation type thing. We've had some great discussions, and now it's time to move on to our next intriguing story. Get ready for more twists, turns, and unexpected revelations. I, 23F, think my dad, 56N, SA'd me. What do I say if he approaches me again? My dad, 56M, and I, 23F, have a good relationship. Not particularly close in that I don't tell him everything, but I live with him and my mom and see him almost every day. We do talk and have lunch together sometimes. My whole immediate family has a very physically affectionate relationship. We hug and kiss each other upon greeting. We twink each other, meaning a light pinch with your hand, and my dad seems to have a special interest in kissing and twinking my butt and belly button. When I would tell him no, he would jokingly beg aggressively. He's been very touchy for a while now. This is where I started having a sinking feeling he might be attracted to me. I've had a glow up a few years ago, and I'm more unconventionally attractive than I was growing up. I've had a bad summer, and I'm in a vulnerable state. I've been on meds and in therapy a while now, and nothing's working. A couple of months ago, I got into a car accident that will have legal consequences that I'm terrified about. And because of it, I attempted suicide and was put under an involuntary hold in a psych ward for a week. My parents have been very supportive through all this. They've helped me pay for meds and legal help. I called them every day while in the hospital, and now that I'm out, they've both been kind to me. The night before last, my dad came into the room for snuggles and got in my twin-sized bed with me to cuddle a while, as he's done in the past. He started massaging my back, which felt nice, and up to now, my father and I have only had platonic interactions. He asked if I wanted a massage, and I said yes. He went to get massage oils from his room across the hall. He started massaging me, and long story short, it got sexual. He moved down from rubbing my back to my butt and genitals, then put his tongue there. He left, then came back later. He said, "I love you so much. I just want to make you feel good." He did mostly the same again and rubbed massage oil on himself, climbed on top of me, and rubbed himself on me. I feel so violated. I was so scared he would go further. If it hadn't happened twice, I would be trying to convince myself I'm crazy. But I'm not. I'm in shock. I'm racking my heat on why he would do this now, when I'm struggling. I know I'm easier to take advantage of. I just fucking frozy and didn't say or do anything and prayed for it to be over soon. But why would he kick me when I'm down? Why would he think that would be something that helped me? I'm really trying to convince himself it was a dream, or that I'm batshit insane. But because he came back, I know it was real. I was mentally stuck. I didn't know what to do. I don't know why I didn't just say stop or no. That probably would have prevented things. I don't know if it's essay since I never said those words. I didn't say anything. I literally just froze and shook and covered my eyes. I feel like such a fucking coward, and I am so angry my own father would take advantage of me in this way. I don't know what to do. I'm not telling anyone close to me. The entire fucking internet is already enough. I think I just needed to tell someone without my life changing. My parents are the only reason I still have an ounce of belief in love. They're best friends. I don't want to disrupt my family. I can't. I'm not brave enough. I dreaded seeing him when he came home yesterday. He could tell something was up. This morning, he told me without prompting that he ate an edible that night and it made him feel wacky, and he was also drinking that night. He's not the type to imbibe alcohol other than the occasional glass of wine, and he doesn't consume marijuana products. He pressed me to find out what was wrong, but I couldn't get the words out. How do I move forward? There's no possibility of me moving out anytime soon, and I'm not ready to tell anyone, not even my therapist. I'm so devastated. My dad and I were best friends when I was young, and we've been starting to talk more lately. Everything has changed now. All of my 23 years worth of happy memories with him are tainted. He said we could talk more later. What do I do? It is understandable that you are feeling overwhelmed and confused after experiencing sexual assault from your father. It is important to remember that you are not alone, and that what happened to you was not your fault. You are not a coward for freezing up during the assault. This is a common reaction to trauma. The most important thing right now is to take care of yourself. This means taking time to process your emotions, talking to a trusted friend or therapist, and practicing self-care activities that you enjoy. It is also important to remember that you have the right to set boundaries with your father. Even if it is difficult, you can tell him that you do not want to be touched in certain ways, and you can remove yourself from situations that make you feel uncomfortable. If you are not ready to tell your parents or therapist about what happened, that is okay. You can still take care of yourself without disclosing the assault. However, it is important to remember that you do not have to keep this a secret forever. When you are ready, you can talk to someone you trust about what happened. It is also important to remember that you are not defined by this experience. You are a strong and resilient survivor, and you will get through this. There are many resources available to help you, and you do not have to go through this alone. The story evolves with your perspectives. In the story update, we're integrating more of your opinions. Keep those comments coming as we shape the narrative together. Story update. I, 23F, think my dad, 56M, sayed me. What do I say if he approaches me again? First of all, thank you to everyone who took the time to give me advice in DM. I read every single comment. I never expected as much attention as the post got. It gave me a clear head. I read so many posts here and think to myself, the answer's so obvious. You know, Your typical, my wife calls me fat and ugly, but I love her too much to leave, or I found my boyfriend on Tinder, or should I get married to this pose? Come to find out, the obvious answer is much more complicated than I'd imagined in the thick of it. Posting gave me the courage to tell my therapist, and they suggested I call a hotline. The hotline only had recommendations for a DV shelter, which I didn't want to go to, so they were no help. Therapy had been some help, but my therapist did not specialize in trauma. They kept telling me to go to the police. And while I know this is the sane, rational thing to do, it's my father. I couldn't bear to see him face legal consequences because of me. Then my parents went on vacation for a week, and it was nice. I had the house to myself and my sibling, and I didn't have to block off my room at night. I still didn't tell my sibling. It took me a few more weeks to muster the courage to permanently wreck their relationship, but I did. They were so understanding and supportive. I'm lucky for them. They helped me keep up the charade and was an ally for letting me know when he was around. And then, almost immediately after my parents got back from vacation, my father lost his job, meaning he'd be at home 24/7, as if things couldn't get any worse. I adapted. I started spending nights at a friend's, going to the library and coffee shops, staying at school, doing just about anything other than being in his presence. I went full avoidant mode, just greeting him in passing and acting as if everything was normal. You might wonder why I did that, why I allowed him to continue to play house after he did that to me, and I'm not totally sure of the answer. I think I just didn't want things to change. I loved my family the way it was. I realized the gravity of the situation, and I knew nothing would ever be the same after I spoke up. You can't put the genie back in the bottle. I took time to compile my evidence. I wrote down every single thing I could remember from that day. He kept coming into my room in the early hours that first week, so I blocked off my room and managed to get a recording of him apologizing for his actions, which was crucial for my sanity. I was in utter denial at first. I made a transcript of the recording and screenshotted all of our texts since the incident, and eventually it was time to speak up. It took me exactly 3 months to tell my mother, 3 months of giving my father a hug and a kiss every day. It was the hardest conversation I've ever had in my life. Me, her, and my sibling all piled in my car and drove to a local park. We then did a group telehealth meeting with my sibling's therapist. It was harder than I thought it would be. I immediately got emotional and struggled through the letter I wrote my mother, but I got through it. I showed her all my evidence, the play-by-play, the texts, the transcript, and the recording. My mom was mortified and furious. She held my hand and told me it was not my fault. She believed me, unlike what I had feared. She knew I would never lie about something so grave, especially because she knows my father and had been close. I drove her back home and she immediately tore him apart and kicked him out of the house, which I was not there to witness. I was not in a good way after the conversation. I was sobbing too hard to drive, so my friend came to pick me up and drive me to her apartment for the night. I am really thankful and lucky to have the support that I do. It's been really difficult this past couple weeks. The house feels emptier. My mom no longer has her partner to wake up next to and do everything with. My sibling and I no longer have a father we can look up to, but we have each other. Nonetheless, I'm doing a lot better than I was. My meds have finally started to click, and I got the car situation squared away. It wasn't nearly as bad as I had anticipated. I'm in school for a STEM career, and I'm doing well so far this semester and last. I know the last couple times I was here I seemed like honestly was a total mess, but I'm healing. And I know healing is not linear. I know something really fucked up happened to me. Sorry I trauma dumped on all you guys, by the way, lol. And it's not just going to magically go away. I'm going to have to deal with this for the rest of my life. Not just the memory and mental effects, but in that I will always have to have some sort of relationship with my father unless I cut him off completely, and I never envisioned my life without my father. But I'm doing everything I can. I'm in therapy and taking my meds, and I have a new therapist who has been able to help me more than the last. I'm doing well, all things considered. Maybe for the first time this year, I even have a date this weekend with the friend who I slept over at, who's been there for me every step of the way. I am lucky for her and so excited to see where things go. It's heartwarming to see your progress since the last update. You've shown incredible strength and resilience in the face of a very difficult situation. It's not surprising that you're still healing, but it's encouraging to hear that you're doing well in school, have a supportive new therapist, and even have a date this weekend. I also appreciate your honesty and openness in sharing your story. It can be difficult to talk about such a traumatic experience, but it's important to remember that you're not alone. Many people have experienced similar experiences, and there are resources available to help you cope and heal. I'm so glad that you have a supportive friend who has been there for you every step of the way. Having someone to lean on during difficult times can make all the difference. It's also great that you're taking care of your mental health by going to therapy and taking your meds. It's important to remember that healing is not linear, and there will be ups and downs along the way. But with time and support, you will continue to heal and grow. I'm confident that you will continue to overcome challenges and find happiness in your life. You've already shown that you have the strength and courage to do so. Our community is a treasure trove of insights, so let's take a moment to dive into the comments before we immerse ourselves in the next intriguing story. User KitKatBatman. I'm sorry for what happened to you, but I'm glad to hear you have a good support network, that you are believed and safe. I wish you all the healing and happiness, and hope you can be okay again soon. User Rotorua0117. It will be a little while until things are okay and they'll never be the same. Keep up the therapy. User Ancient Greek Salute. You should be very proud of yourself. It's okay to hurt while you heal. You're doing great. I, 38M, discovered my GF, 30F, spent 2 nights with her ex-BF in a hotel room. Then she pretended like nothing happened. How should I confront her? My girlfriend, 30F, and I, 38M, have been together for 6 years now. We have had our ups and downs but have remained very close. She's a beautiful woman whom I've been very much in love with. We both work in the entertainment industry, which means we have to travel a lot and deal with many different people. To give some background, I grew up poor in the foster system and Essential Y have no family. She grew up rich with parents that have a small real estate empire out of state. About a year into our relationship, we decided to move in together, and Eventual Y jointly bought a house. This was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for me, and made more sense than throwing away money on rent every month. Her mother offered to co-sign and helped us get our loan to buy an affordable fixer, upper about 1.5 hours outside a major city where we do a lot of work. While challenging, it has been great. Her parents have been wonderful to me, offering for the first time a connection to a family, which is something I have never known. We have since adopted pets, and this is the first time in my life I have had a real home of my own and felt like I had a family and support beyond just myself. I'm very handy and I have put a lot of work into our house and have replaced almost everything from the floors, lighting, paint, deck, doors, tile, etc. We have a very mature relationship. We usually don't get jealous and have many friends of the opposite genders whom we hang out with. Our work means we have to interact with many different people and are often apart for weeks at a time. Since we both work in the same industry though, we often go to events or projects together. Still, we have had intimacy problems. There are times we barely touch, or kiss, or be intimate maybe once a month, and the connection feels lost at times. I've talked to her about this, and it's an on and off issue we have dealt with the entire time. During the pandemic, I lost my long-term employer and have since been running my own business. It has been hard to get off the ground, and fortunately, my girlfriend and her family have been very supportive. Without them, I really don't know where I would be or how I would make it work because income can be unreliable. I should add that we both split the mortgage, own the house jointly, and unfortunately, I cannot afford the house without her. This is where this problem begins. About a year ago, my GF introduced me to an ex-boyfriend of hers who we hung out with at a bar, along with some other mutual friends. It was fun and things seemed to go well. I didn't mind the guy, but he was very much her type, and it was obvious why they had been in a relationship. Later, while on a business trip, she informed me she was hanging out with him again at an event he happened to be at. I didn't think too much of it, but appreciated the fact she was being honest and upfront about it. Then about 6 months ago, she explained that he had contacted her and offered for her to work on a project for a few days in the city we live near. Because of her schedule, she is going to have to fly into the gig and stay there for a few days with the crew and then will return home. I'm not really happy about it, but I don't want her to miss a good opportunity. She ends up doing the job and the entire time is very busy, not answering my calls and is standoffish. Randomly, when the job is completed, she calls me and wants me to drop my work in the middle of the day and come pick her up to take her home. We argued about it, and I wasn't really happy that she essentially just disappeared with her ex for several days while working on this project, then treated me like her taxi service when she was ready to come home. Fast forward to now. This ex of hers has constantly been flirting with her on social media comments and liking her posts. It has made me feel uncomfortable that she was then sharing photos of them together from the project. Overall, I felt like it was disrespectful toward our relationship to be so close to someone she had been intimate with before. She often has me take photos of her with her phone for her. So one evening while I did, I quickly searched her messages with him to see if there was anything going on. Regarding their project, he had sent her messages and twice insisted that she come alone. Again, this was only 1.5 hours from our house, and that she would be staying with him in his hotel room. She had instantly said okay to both of these requests, without ever debating anything about the details. I had no idea they would literally be staying in the same hotel room. I feel so disgusted that she would just go along with his obvious ploy and didn't even question him about it. It makes sense that when I tried to call her late those nights, after they would have been done working, she never answered her phone. Further, He has been texting her photos of herself he dealed from IG and telling her how much he liked them. She's still friends with this guy and posting about their project on social media. So I don't have any proof she slept with him. And I know that when I bring it up to her, she is going to deny it and say that they slept in separate beds. She will turn it around and make me into the bad guy for looking at her phone or being mad about it and act like I'm being unreasonable. Worst, like when I've confronted relationship issues in the past, she will cry and act hurt when I am the one who is feeling that way. This was 6 months ago, and I didn't realize until now. I feel so stupid. Should I really believe they didn't do anything for 2 nights staying together? I don't know what to do about this. Honestly, part of me just wants to be done with the relationship. But throwing away my house, my pets, and the only family I have, part of me also wants to tell her parents what she did. But I feel like they will likely side with her and believe any excuses. There is no excuse for going behind my back and staying with this guy, regardless of if they why did anything or not. This is the only home of my own I have ever had. I could move out, sell the house, find a new job, but starting back over at 38 is terrifying. There is no way in hell I want her to try to take our pets. I don't know what to do at this point. She has been long gone traveling for work again, and I haven't had a chance to bring this up with her. I'm starting to feel like her traveling so much for work is just so I can be her relationship of convenience. Like she comes home to me when she feels the need, and the rest of the time she's out partying with whomever is the highest bidder. I feel like the next time some guy comes around who is successful and asks her to stay the night with him, she is going to go right ahead and I would never know. At the very least, my trust in her is shattered and I don't know what to do. What should I do? Should I believe her and try to mend things? Is this unreasonable of me? How should I confront her? I want to say, how is it you tell me you are hanging out with this guy as if to be a good partner, yet don't tell me you're spending the night together? The plot thickens in the drama-filled world of relationships. Your story has more twists and turns than a soap opera, my friend. Let's break it down. Firstly, kudos to you for turning a fixer-upper into a cozy home and finding a sense of family, even if it's not the traditional kind you grew up with. The backdrop of your life is set, and enter the ex-boyfriend, the unexpected antagonist in this narrative, the flirtatious social media interactions, and the subtle game of posting project photos together. Classic moves in the art of relationship turmoil. The infamous ex ever so conveniently popping up to offer opportunities that involve sharing hotel rooms. Bravo to him for creativity in attempting a reboot of their past romance. Your detective skill, though sneaky, uncovered messages that unveiled their cozy arrangements. The come alone and sharing a hotel room part. Not exactly the plot twist one hopes for in a committed relationship. Now the conundrum, to confront or not to confront. The impending confrontation is like the climax of a thrill or movie where the protagonist discovers the truth. However, the fear of being portrayed as the unreasonable villain looms. Your emotions are valid, but navigating this without being cast as the bad guy requires finesse. As for telling her parents, that's a plot twist. A dramatic reveal to the parental figures who played a role in your newfound stability could either be a masterstroke or backfire spectacularly. Proceed with caution. The question remains, stay and try to mend things, or start anew. It's a decision only you can make. And whatever you choose, remember that life is an ongoing series. This might be a challenging season, but there's always room for character development and growth. Before we continue our adventure, let's tap into the wealth of opinions in the community comments. Your perspectives are like puzzle pieces that complete the story. User Lana102. It's not that you have what you consider evidence of adultery. It's simply you don't want to believe it. The wife of a guy in our friendship group was having an affair with a guy who was just a friend. She was staying at his house until 1 to 2 in the morning. He kept telling us they're just friends, sitting up late watching TV. We shook our heads in disbelief. She then began staying the night with him, and hubby told us they're just friends, and she's probably sleeping on the couch. Eventually, she was so embarrassed by his stupidity she had to spell it out what she was doing. Is this the first time of this behavior, or is it the first time you've become aware? You have to decide, can I tolerate the affairs and simply pretend it's not happening, or finish the relationship and lose everything you have? User Business Fishing 573. Even if she didn't physical why cheat, she total why did. She's mocking you by throwing up pics of her ex, making you her taxi, and God knows what else. Wrap your head around the fact that the relationship was over a long time ago. When you do, cash out on the house with a lawyer's help. Then you can buy another place if you wanted instead of renting. User IffyBiz. You kind of glossed over it, but you have 2 problems. The possible cheating and the lack of intimacy. It could be that those things could be related. Here's what I would suggest. Sit her down in a quiet moment when you have your thoughts together. Ask her how she thinks the relationship is going. Don't let her get away with something like okay or good. Get real answers to how she's feeling. She should be able to tell you the good things about the relationship as well as the bad that needs to get worked on. Next is your turn. Tell her everything you love about her in detail. Don't leave anything out. Then the bad, how you still aren't happy with the level of intimacy from her. Next, tell her that your trust in her has been eroded because you know there are things she's hiding from you. She's going to either be ashamed or defensive. Either way, be calm and just ask for the truth. That it doesn't matter how you know, you just do. Eventual why, she'll spill about staying in the ex-hotel room. No doubt she will say that nothing happened. Your reply should be, I'd be much more inclined to trust you if you had told it to me without hiding it. But now I have a lot of doubts that your word alone probably will not erase. Hopefully, if nothing actual why happened, she will be able to prove it somehow. Messages before and after that time perhaps. She should be totally willing to open up her phone to let you read anything said between them. If not, I think you have your answer. Thanks for the engaging comments. Now, let's shift our focus and immerse ourselves in the excitement of our next story. Ready to see where this one takes us? I, F27, recently found my partner's M28 secret life. My partner, M28, and I, F27, have been together for almost 10 years. We have 3 amazing children together, ages 7, 4, and 10 months. We've basically grown up together. We're not legal-wise married, but he did propose in 2018 right before we bought our house, and we've called each other wife and husband ever since. I'm not going to romanticize our relationship because it's far from perfect, but I always thought we would be the couple to grow old together. He works a very demanding job that my dad also had, so I know the hours are long. And I've been a Psalm for almost 5 years and homeschool our children. At first I stayed home BC. I was severely ill with baby number 2. I almost died. But then he asked me to stay home with our kids as it would be cheaper than daycare. This year, he asked me to homeschool as well. We've recently been in very rocky waters, as I have a never-ending list of expectations, and all he has to do is go to work. Because of this, we have talked about separating for a few weeks now, but we don't want to disrupt our kids' routines. Well, in comes a text from my cousin's ex-wife. She explained she needed to reach out to me, girl to girl, and sent me screenshots of my partner on Tinder. The pictures that he'd used were taken a couple of days before, so I know it wasn't an old profile. He used a different name, a name that we had agreed on for future baby number 4, if it was a boy. I, of course, thanked her, but I didn't want to believe it. He's always talked down on cheaters since his dad was a huge womanizer, and it caused a lot of trauma for him and his family. So I made a catfish Tinder to see for myself. I found at least 4 different Snapchat threads that were him emotional why cheating with more girls, calling each other babe and honey bun, which is what he calls me. Texts that say he's a single dad and the mom doesn't want anything to do with the kids. Explicit pictures sent back and forth. And when I thought that was it, I found the hidden pictures folder. Not only does he have all the nudes saved of these women, and mine, he has a video of him receiving mouth kisses on his second head with a girl who used his real name. I used my phone to take pictures and videos of everything and sent them to my email. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with them yet, but I have them. Also, I looked back at our text thread on the date that correlates with the video, a month after I gave birth, and saw it was one of the many times he would say he's going out with the boys. He even texted me that night and told me how much he loved me and how he was going to take me to breakfast in the morning. And the even funnier thing is I have nothing. No money, no family to turn to. I own nothing on my own. We both own the house. No credit cards, bad credit, literally nothing. He didn't even have a lot of money, our God credit either. But I am completely dependent on him, and I'm not sure how long I can pretend like nothing is wrong. So I turn to you Redditors, please tell me what to do. Please give me any useful advice. First off, kudos to your cousin's ex-wife for dropping the truth bomb. Looks like Tinder has become the modern age relationship detective. Sherlock Holmes would be proud. Woman, detective. Now, the catfish operation, a strategic food coma, pie, and a masterclass in pretending everything is hunky-dory. Theatrics level, expert. I hope you at least enjoyed the pie. Comfort food, right? And then, the grand reveal. Snapchat threads, emotional cheating, secret nudes folder. Sounds like he's been busy multitasking. Who knew emotional infidelity could have its own hidden chamber? But wait, there's more. The pièce de résistance, a video starring him and a girl who doesn't know the meaning of discretion. That's a plot twist, or should I say, a plot twerk? You've turned into a secret agent gathering intel, and I must say, James Bond would be proud. Don't forget to add a theme song to your escapades. Maybe something empowering like Survivor by Destiny's Child? Now, the serious part. In all seriousness, this situation is tough, and I'm not here to undermine that. It's a complex web, and you're caught in the middle. But remember, you've got those pictures and videos saved in your arsenal. Knowledge is power, right? When life gives you lemons, make lemonade. And if life hands you a cheating partner, well, maybe it's time to redefine your priorities. It's not going to be easy, but you've got strength within you that you might not even realize. And hey, you're not alone. There's always a way forward, even if the path seems unclear right now. Take a breath, gather your thoughts, and when you're ready, face this head on. You might not know what the future holds, but you certainly know what you deserve. Honesty, respect, and love. Life's too short for cheating partners and secret videos. You've got this. Embrace the chaos, find your inner superhero, and let the next chapter be your best one yet. Here's to resilience, growth, and a future filled with genuine happiness. Cheers! It's that time again. We're transitioning to the community comments. Keep those thoughts coming, and let's make this discussion even more interesting. User Web Alternative 5644. There are many resources. Please reach out to them. I can even look them up for you if you want to DM me your area. I am a domestic violence counselor. I understand you aren't being abused, but you are stuck in a very bad situation for your own well-being. If you have the YWCA, they have great programs for single moms getting back on their feet. Some will pay for your down payment on a rental. They pay for childcare so you can work and bring in an income. I'm so sorry you are going through this. It's the worst, as I have been there. Please reach out if you need any help. User Lives for Books. From someone who's been there. He's going to get suspicious about the change in your demeanor and start digging. It may be very quick. Make sure there's nothing for him to find. Get tested for STDs, ASAP. Get yourself a P.O. box for any accounts you open, so he doesn't see statements or mail related to your escape plan. Don't bank where he does or make any arrangements or inquiries through common sources. When I was trying to leave my ex, a bank teller mentioned to him that my new debit card was ready. Boom. He knew I was planning. Don't be me. Email those photos and evidence to a new email address he has no access to. Get a burner phone for any callus that can't show up on your cell plan. Keep it off when you aren't using it and hide it. Mine was in an old coffee can in our shed. Don't save any passwords on your phone. Delete your sent mail as soon as you send it. Delete those photos ASAP. Remember, your kids will talk to him and may give away things like "Mom was crying," "We went to this new place today," etc. Save as much money as you can. When you're ready, you can file for an emergency order for custody and support. If it's appropriate, you can also file for a protective order. Filing these motions yourself can save you thousands in legal costs. Even if you have a lawyer, DIY, whatever you can do this. We are rooting for you. User Far Throwing Away 10YR's OP replies, "Thank you. I didn't even think about half of these things. Your enthusiasm fuels the journey." Now, let's seamlessly transition into our last story. Get comfortable, because things are about to get interesting. Husband, 50M, devastated by wife's 44F, emotional affair. About 12 years ago, my wife and I had been married for 10 years. We had a nice marriage. We argued a bit from time to time, but it was a loving marriage. Our sex life was always good, and that sexual intimacy always kept us close through all of the trials of tribulations of marriage. She was a stay-at-home mom, and I was the sole breadwinner. We had recently had our 4th child. At that point, she was ready to get out of the house. She decided she wanted to go back to her massage career, something she did for a short time before we met. I encouraged her, give it a go, and even bought her a new massage table as a gift. It seemed to be good for her, and it also produced additional income. Shortly thereafter, she wanted to start attending some yoga classes in our local community. I supported her doing that as well. After a little while, she expressed an interest in going to hang out with friends after her yoga class, which was in the evening. We lived in a very small community, and she only had a few friends, all female. At this time, and I know we were late to the game, we didn't have cell phones. She asked me one evening before going to yoga if I wanted her to tell me where she was going after yoga, and that she couldn't always be sure what she was going to do. She mentioned that she might go to her friend Lucy's or her friend Maria's, or maybe just to the lake or the river, to hang out for a while. Having complete trust in her and not wanting her to have to come back home after yoga to tell me where she was going, I told her she didn't have to tell me where she was going. One of the first nights she went out after yoga, she came home pretty late. I started to worry and didn't really know where she was. When she came home, we agreed that she would either be home by 9:30 or call me to let me know where she was from a landline. The very next week, she went to yoga and didn't arrive home until 11:30. I thought she was at her friend Lucy's house that was upset that she didn't call me to let me know. When I asked why she didn't use Lucy's phone to call me, she said she wasn't at Lucy's house. She was at John's house. John was somebody that we knew from the community, but never hung out with. We never hung out with his group of friends. He was a single guy that lived out the middle of the forest. He was one of her massage clients. I asked her why she didn't call from his house. She said she tried, but he wouldn't let her use his phone and that she lost track of time afterward. I immediately became aware of what might be going on. I asked her if she was attracted to him, and she said yes. I asked if she was sexually attracted to him, and she said yes. I asked her if she had sex with him. She said no. I asked her if she wanted to have sex with him, and she said yes. I was instantly devastated. Extremely hurt and scared, I drove off for an hour or so. I came home and we talked about it for a bit, but I was destroyed. We started going to counseling about it almost immediately, as I couldn't sleep, I could barely work, and a couple of days afterward, I couldn't even maintain an erection. As the days passed, I started hearing about some of the interactions she was having with him. After the massages, they would visit and smoke a cigarette together. One time, done with her cigarette, she asked him where he wanted her. Cigarette butt, he said, in my hand. She told me he would watch her while she set up her table. Not wanting to be controlling, I told her that I was not comfortable with her massaging him or hanging out with him socially, but that I was not going to tell her what to do. She saw that I was emotionally, psychologically, and physically distressed. She continued to massage him and see him socially on occasion. I became more and more uncomfortable as I heard about some of the flirtatious conversation and sexual innuendos that were being made. Eventual why, probably after a month of this, I asked her to stop seeing him either as a masseuse or socially. I told her I would try to navigate my feelings, but that if she were to continue to interact with him, I wanted it to only be professionally or socially, not both, especially considering her professional relationship included massaging his naked body. She said no. She said it was my issue around trust. I was molested as a child, and she thought it was a trust issue related to my sexual abuse. I actually believed her for a bit, but after a couple of months, I was ready to end our marriage. Especially, she finally agreed to stop seeing him altogether. She claims that she never had any sort of sexual relationship with him. I still have a hard time trusting her. I feel like she should have told me that she had developed feelings, sexual attraction towards somebody, especially somebody she was massaging, before going to hang out with them socially. I certainly don't think she should have used knowledge of my sexual abuse to try to convince me that this was my trust issue to get over. She's never really apologized for anything because I told her she didn't have to tell me where she was going. She doesn't think she did anything wrong. All I have really wanted was to hear her say she was sorry, that it was a mistake to not tell me that she had an attraction towards somebody she was massaging, that it was a mistake to go see him socially without first talking to me about what was going on in her head and body. She doesn't think what she did was dishonest. I don't think she lied, but I also don't think it was honest. Do you think any of this behavior is dishonest, deceitful, or just didn't honor our monogamous relationship? Your wife, with her newfound career enthusiasm and yoga-induced social life, seems to have stumbled upon a forest-dwelling, cigarette-smoking Romeo named John. The plot thickens, or should I say, tenses. Now you, the trusting husband, gave her the freedom to roam after yoga without the GPS-like tracking. A bold move, but alas, freedom sometimes comes with surprises. John, the mysterious man of the woods, entered the scene, and lo and behold, attraction started brewing. I tried to call you, but he wouldn't let me use his phone, and then time just slipped away. The classic, I got caught up in the moment excuse. Shakespeare would have added a soliloquy to this scene, no doubt. But let's not forget the smoking post-massage banter and the cigarette butt innuendo. It's like they were rehearsing a script for a romantic thriller, or a comedy of errors depending on your perspective. Fast forward to the confrontation. You, my dear protagonist, faced the dilemma: trust issues or a brewing emotional affair. You opted for counseling. A wise move, like seeking advice from the wise wizard in a fantasy novel. Yet, she continued her massages and post-massage rendezvous, playing the "it's your trust issue" card, the psychological warfare of relationships. Bravo to her for weaving a narrative that blames the victim. But let's not forget the cherry on top, your history of sexual abuse being used as a pawn in this emotional chess game. Now here's the twist. After months of this psychological drama, you demanded she cut ties with John. She finally agreed. And yet, no apology. She sees no wrongdoing, no deceit, just a casual stroll through the forest of questionable boundaries. Our community is a treasure trove of insights, so let's take a moment to dive into the comments before we immerse ourselves in the end of this video. User Gosk101, you need divorce. She cheated on you and thinks she didn't do anything wrong by doing so. It is beyond any hope a sane person could have. User Spindly Young Man, he wouldn't let me use his phone? Who has ever refused a guest from using a phone? Then they lost track of time? Damn, those are some shady excuses. User Red Crane Lives, sorry, your wife had a full-on affair right in front of you and said it was your problem. Total lack of respect. She was rubbing down a naked guy who she wanted and he wanted her, and you are supposed to believe it never got physical? Come on. As we wrap up this Reddit story, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing for more captivating Reddit stories. Your support means the world to me. I enjoy, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.